Hey beer geeks, welcome back to the Craft Beer channel. Today I'm in Liverpool and I'm here to visit BeerX, which is the trade show of the Society of Independent Brewers. And now they run a national brewing competition with some of the best breweries in the whole of the UK, and I've been invited to judge, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to show you guys what it's like to judge in a national competition, the highs and the lows of doing that, because often the quality as a whole is pretty low, but there's some absolutely stellar beers that always stand out, and that's what I'm hoping you guys are going to see, as well as learn a little bit about how to judge beer like a beer judge. We've already got a video in Beer School about that, but this one's going to give you an insight into what it's like when you have 100 beers instead of just one. So I sat down at my table, we filled in a form to try and tell them what we wanted to judge. I think I ticked lager, IPA, stouts and porters. And my first table is premium lagers and pilsners. So pretty excited about that, pretty excited to start with that. It's up to 4 hours of judging, so we'll see. See how I cope. So what I've got here is a judging sheet. So on here, I've got to mark each beer for appearance, aroma, flavour, aftertaste and saleability, which is not one you get in all of the judging processes. So most of the weight is given to flavour, it's 20 marks for that, and then the other ones make up 40 between them, so it's marks out of 60. And we're going to taste, it looks like 14 different lagers. So just done the first beer. I think it's safe to say we didn't love that one. It was very sweet, malty on the nose, zero on the palate, like no hot bite to it at the finish, no crisp, clean, lagery thing. But the first beer is always the trickiest one to mark, because obviously we're setting a guideline for the rest of the 8 beers we're going to taste. This Kolsch smells like a shoe shop. I don't think that's the style. So we're 5 beers in. We just had the first one that I enjoyed, which was this delicious Kolsch. Looks magnificent too. Oh, looks hazy from there. There we go. Nice and clear and bright. Lots of kind of spicy, slight citrus aromas. The first one that's had any kind of lager snap to it whatsoever. And then we followed up with beer number 6, which is a Pilsner. Hazy as a Saharan sunset and smells like a cellar. So this is the highs and lows of beer judging. Yeah, they're all laughing behind me, it's that bad. So as you'll see, we have crackers on the table. The crackers are to cleanse your palate in between tastes. What you don't expect them to be for is to take away the taste of cabbage. That's a new one on me. So that concludes the lager section for me, so I'll be moving to another table. But we were just discussing, we all agreed that the same beer was the best, which was this one. We don't know what it is yet, because it was of course all blind, but it was a delicious Kolsch, spicy, fruity, crisp. It was great. I gave it exactly 6 times the score of the one that made me poke my tongue out. Sweet, let's hope it's not the double IPAs next. So second round, I'm on the session IPA table. So one thing tasting blind does is make you realise that words mean nothing. So what we've got here is a pin bright unfined pale ale next to another unfined, well, golden ale, which you can't see through, next to one in the middle, which has a nice haze to it, not a lot else going on. I think there's been some New England use in this because there's just zero flocculation. It's all malt proteins and probably all kinds of particles in that one. But when you're buying a beer and it says unfined, it just kind of proves that really you need to know the brewery or what they're trying to achieve, not just the words like unfiltered, unfined. So either my palate's knackered or that was liquid peach yogurt, which was kind of pleasant, but this is session IPA, so really we want some bitterness, some citrus, that kind of stuff going on. And that's our final beer for the day. So a little bit of a low note. What we learned is across the lagers and the session IPAs, there's not a huge amount of bitterness going on, which I don't think is bleeding down from the bubble from the New England kind of side. I think it's coming up from the cask side where people have sort of knowingly underhopped their beers and maybe have got a little bit behind the times. That's kind of what I think is happening. So let's have a little chat about what it was like to judge on a national competition. That's the biggest one I've ever done, but actually not the most amount of beers I've ever tasted. I did one where I have 45 IPAs, and I can assure you that by the end of that, my palate was well and truly screwed. So beer judging, like whenever you say you're going away to do it, people joke and go, oh, you got the best job in the world, isn't it a hard life? Judging beer is brilliant for your palate. You learn so much. You see all these off flavors and all these brilliant flavors and all these little nuances you never knew existed in hops and in yeast and in malt profiles, but it's really bad for the soul. The quality often in these judging panels are pretty low. It's partly because obviously not everyone enters in the UK, so it's not a true snapshot. It's partly because often the people that do enter, they need the awards to kind of sell their beer. They don't have that hype that's built just through producing great stuff and it getting out there in all the right places. But most importantly, actually, the beer that you get served isn't always in the best condition. Now, all the beers that we judged earlier are being poured here, so they were pretty much all on draft, all in pretty good nick, on clean lines, so that was surprising. We didn't have many poured flaws except for that awful lager. But usually they're coming out, they might not be at the right temperature, they might have been poured too quickly, so they've gone a bit flat, all this kind of stuff, and you have to try and see through that and try and remain calm and positive throughout the process. So usually the beers that win these awards aren't necessarily the most flavour forward or the most exciting, they're the ones that can cope with those mitigating circumstances the best. So usually a very rounded, very balanced, very well brewed beer, probably a brewery that has lots of QC in place, lots of funding for QC, which is the main reason why breweries don't have it, often win out at the end of the day. So looking back at what I tasted, obviously I only did 2 categories of the many that were there. That Kolsch, I'm looking forward to finding out what that was. It might have been 8 Arch, I was trying to work it out while walking around all the bars. Or perhaps, I think it might have been Pinata by North Brew Co. was the New England Pale that was very good in the Session IPA category. They're announcing the winners in a couple of hours, so we're going to tune into that. But guys, if you want to know how to taste beer like a beer judge, we've got a great video with Ray Daniels, who founded the Cicerone program. So check out that. That's coming up at the end of the video. And fingers crossed for Pinata or 8 Arch Kolsch.
And the winner is 1985 by White Valley Brew.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Much appreciated.